Do you know what I'm referring to? Or do you know what little apples of paradise are?
A sexy man's testicles?
Tell me you're gay without telling me you're gay. I'm referring to nipples because that's what we're going to be talking about today. No, not the history of nipples. I ain't no fucking doctor or anything. We're talking about the history of nipple piercings.
Oh, although you could do the history of nipples because we know that's why men have them. It's because we all start out as a female in the womb. Isn't that true?
I think so, yes.
Okay, yeah, clear. We're not doctors.
No, I was
Okay.
like, why are you breaking into this medical shit? Not going to happen.
So
All right.
wait a minute. So the little apples of paradise are what people call their nipples?
Well, a certain person who is like one of the trailblazers of jazzed
Nipple.
up nips.
Oh, okay. Let's
Okay.
just get this off the table. Do you like nipple rings on a man?
Not a big fan, but I'm just not a big fan of piercings, period,
Ugh,
on
I don't.
myself or someone else.
Neither am I really, but there's a lot of them I don't really think of, like earrings you don't think of, but like noses and nipples. I don't like. Don't pierce anything that starts with an N for both sexes, but especially men. Men
What
with
about
nipple
your
piercing.
navel?
Oh, I love that. Oh, right. Take it back, Brittany. I don't mind a navel piercing on women. Don't even if you're a guy. That's I don't care how gay you are. That's just.
The hottest guy in my school in grade 9, he had a belly button ring with a tattoo of a sun around it.
Oh, I've seen it. Was his name Patrick?
No, no, it
Oh,
wasn't at all.
I slept with a guy named Patrick that had that same thing.
I bet you they really regret it now.
Oh God, I
Yeah.
bet.
Yeah. Cause that
But
was totally a fad type of tattoo.
same like the barbed wire was another
Yeah.
one. But although I still think that's hot.
Right.
But I'm from the 90s, so I would. I don't mind one nipple ring. Like if you're gonna do a nipple ring, do one. Don't do two. Then you're like a cow.
I think a lot of my friends had nipple piercings. That's probably one of the only piercings I got my belly button done, but other than that, that kind of appealed to me in a weird way. I don't know. I thought it was kind of hot to see like a tri nip through a shirt.
Well, see, I'm such a Libra. I go back and forth. But I'm sticking to my guns. I don't like them on men, but women. Christina Aguilera, I remember in the early 2000s, got hers done, and it was like so cool.
Well, celebrities have played a huge role in like the history of nipple decor.
Have they, Jenna? Tell us more.
Right. So they've been around, and we can trace them as far back as ancient Rome. Back then, women would wear earrings in their ear, and that would display wealth and power. But men who were in the army would have nipple piercings, and that would be to symbolize their strength, honor, and overall dedication to the Roman Empire.
How does that prove any of that?
Because it was more symbolic than stylish back then. Remember, like this is a time where it was a symbolic. It was a sign of unity, just like if a baseball team gets matching tattoos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Even the famous Empire Julius Caesar, you remember us mentioning him in the history of sex in the ancient Rome. He even got his nips pierced, and that was to show solidarity with his men, the people fighting for him.
I'm sure that's not the only reason. That guy was a freak.
They were all a little freaky back then.
I guess.
Yeah.
Not to say you're a freak if you have your nipples pierced, but I just think he would have liked the pain and like the fetish of it all.
Right.
And if you listen to that episode, you know what I'm talking about.
Right, exactly. So yeah, nipple rings were then more symbolic, but then they transitioned to be more fashionable in the mid 14th century. There was this queen, her name was Isabella of France, and she introduced, like she was really into fashion and stuff like that. And she introduced what were called garments of the grand neckline. So these were dresses that had, like, I have a low neckline right now, right?
Yeah,
like
what an appropriate outfit you wore.
Modern day standards, I have a low one on right now. You can see my tatas and everything.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
These dresses, the neckline went so low, it almost went down to their belly button sometimes, leaving the boobs like just out to be adorned and watched all willy-nilly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So since they were so low, almost to the belly button, it only made sense because they were wearing these like beautiful dresses because it was higher society to why not decorate your nipples too? You're wearing this beautiful beaded gown or whatever. Your tits are out. Why not give them a little bedazzle?
I know exactly what you're talking about. I must have seen it in a movie or something, but I'm picturing that exact like outfit you're talking about where the boobs are almost framed by the dress.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And if you watch our YouTube channel, you will see pictures come up to show you. Warning, there's nipples in them, but you know what? Everybody has them. Okay.
Free the nipple.
Free the nipples. The nipples were such a point of attraction, obviously. Like if you have your tits out and your nipples are there, that's something people are going to stare at. So they would pierce them and attach like a string of pearls or whatever through them. But they would also rouge their nipple to give it like a nice red tinge or
Like
pink
pinch
tinge.
it?
No, they would take like a rouge. So I do believe back then, what did women use for rouge? I can't remember, but like blush.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that they would use on their face and stuff. They'd apply it to their nipples to get that, or their lips, like a stain maybe, to
Yeah.
get that like beautiful pink color.
Wow, what did they use? That's bugging me now. I picture like the crushed up powder was like
Right.
saffron
It
or
was
something.
something, though that's yellow.
Yeah.
But you know, like, I'm sorry, but women's breasts can feed human beings. Like nipples are literally the windows to your soul. So like,
Maybe
why
your stomach.
not celebrate them more and make them pretty? And you know,
Well, they are pretty even without a nasty piercing.
cows can walk around with their nips out, no shame at all. Why
No,
can't we?
I agree with that. Well, you can in Ontario. Woohoo! But nobody does it.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's even though it's legal. Queen Isabella was the one who, of course, named her nipples her little apples of paradise.
Ah, okay.
And the reason I think too was probably because when she meant paradise, I think she was even referring to maybe, and this is just my guess, sexual paradise, because they say nipple piercings, just like if you get your clip pierced or your Prince Albert, can help with sexual arousal. So maybe that
Wow.
was why too, because they were freaky
But
back then.
isn't it interesting? You were talking about how breasts give life and they feed babies. I've heard before that sometimes a piercing can mess that up because then
Right.
it like pierces the duct.
Well, I'm sure that if you got pregnant and you had a nipple ring, your boobs are going to change a lot. So you'd probably want to remove, just like with your belly button, you'd probably remove the belly button ring because your skin stretches, right?
Yeah,
I
right.
would think so.
Might hurt.
Yeah.
You know, I want to tell a quick story about our old radio station. I remember this is about the free the nipple topic and how it's legal in Ontario, but nobody does it. And I remember one time I was on air with one of our old coworkers, who I won't say, doesn't matter really who. But anyway, he was fighting to say that people don't do it, and he's glad they don't do it because it would be distracting for men. And like if he was driving, that could be a risk in his car if he sees a hot and topless girl biking by and he's like distracted, which at the time I was like, yeah, he's right. Well, you wouldn't believe the phone calls we got of people being like, how dare you, you pig? And I'm
Well,
like,
it's
oh,
almost
here we
like
go.
victim blaming, right? Like,
Yes. But this is the interesting thing about Ottawa in particular, where we live, is it's such a conservative city, but the attitudes people have are very liberal. So like so many people were fighting for the right to free the nipple, but then nobody does it.
right.
But
And
anyway,
you'd probably get really weird looks in
yeah.
Ottawa if you walked around with your boobies out.
But I did feel bad for our old coworker because I got what he was saying. Like it would be distracting, but you can't say that.
I've been to the beach and I have seen men with their shirts off who have bigger tatas than I do, and no one's going, that's distracting.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, I mean, it comes down to the individual. If you are so distracted that you're by a pair of boobies while you're driving that you would crash, I think you need to spend some time looking at some more boobies.
Yeah,
so that like there's no shock effect, because they really are boobies.
It's so true. Yeah, I've seen some big fat guy, or at the gym too. Sometimes in the change room, you look over, you're like, oh my God, you want to like offer a sports bra or something.
Right.
Poor guys.
But that's the thing, is like, it's just, ours are fat. We have fat. Yours don't. That's plain and simple. That's the difference between us.
Well, the boobies guys we're talking about have fat.
Right. Well, so these are fat for women too.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. I got sensitive because you said you, and I'm like, mine don't have fat.
If yours did, you'd play with them too much.
Yeah.
So then in the 1890s, this nipple ring was still about like high society, and it was still fashionable. It was called the bosom ring now. And it was really quite expensive, some of the stuff. Like Vogue featured some nipple jewelry, the magazine, as
Wow.
well as it was in like very expensive, diamonds and gold and all that kind of stuff. While
Okay.
looking pretty, they did have a sexy purpose at this point. So this is when people are realizing that these nipple rings also do a little extra something for them too.
Okay. Well, what's that?
Well, what they do is they enlarge the nipples, so it makes your nipples more easily pleasured.
Oh, kind
Yeah,
of like, yeah, when you're enlarge other things.
exactly.
Yeah.
One socialite said, with regard to the experience of wearing these rings, I can only say that they're not in the least uncomfortable or painful. On the contrary, the slight rubbing and slipping of the rings causes in me an extremely titillating feeling, and all my colleagues I have spoken to on this subject have confirmed my opinion.
Oh, I bet. I think of girls that, again, back to Christina Aguilera that got her clit pierced, and she said the same thing about that.
There's this woman in high school that got her clit pierced, and she said every time she sat down, she got like a mini orgasm.
See? That's a pretty good.
Way to live your life.
Yeah. You ever seen that show where there was a girl like that had a medical problem where she couldn't stop having orgasms and it was incredibly painful?
Right.
I should laugh.
What if you're going to like a funeral and you go to sit down, you get a mini orgasm, and you're like,
oh, Grandpa. That's so funny.
Grandpa.
Boy, she's really upset. Yeah.
Not everyone, though, was a fan of these nipple piercings at the time. Of course, the medical community had a giant stick up their butt. They were outraged because apparently nipple rings represented a rejection of the medical community was outraged because they represented a rejection of traditional conceptions of the purpose of a woman's body, aka women's titties are only meant to be fed, not to be like celebrated and adorned. Therefore, this is not good for it.
Well, then you shouldn't touch them either, right? Unless you're a baby.
But that's why it was so popular among high society, because at the time, like socialites and stuff were deemed as like rebellious. So they kind of went against what everyone said. They even put on an article in Sports Illustrated. Nope, that was hitchhiking we were talking about the other day. Never mind. Whoa. Okay.
Wow, I just can't get over that idea that you like. Wow.
What?
I don't know. I lost my train of thought thinking about nipples.
Well, in the 1960s, nipple piercing started catching on in the US for the first time, especially in the gay and BDSM scene.
Oh, that pause, that reminded me what I was going to say, which was this idea that, why can't I remember every time I start talking? I'm having a stroke. Do I still burn toast? No, it's this idea that, sex cannot be removed from childbearing or like offspring. Remember I was talking because remember a few episodes ago I was saying I used to have this issue about why gay men are even into sex, because if the whole point of sex is to have offspring, then why is it fun and all these things? So that's sort of what you were just saying, was they were trying to make a law that sex should not be fun, it shouldn't be fetishized, it should just be for making babies.
Right. Because then, people start to get like the more conservative views and all that. There's these two prominent figures in the LGBTQ community called Fakir Musafar and Jim Ward. Does that ring a bell?
Oh, I just saw those guys last weekend.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't.
This is okay. Well, anyway, they're very two prominent figures apparently in your world. But they pierced theirs around the 60s. And then that kind of influenced the gay community and the kink community for body modifications and whatnot.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which is probably why it's still quite popular in the gay community today. Nipple piercings.
Yo, yeah.
Go to Pride and you'll see tons of them.
Oh my God, they're rampant, which is why I'm a bit nervous admitting that they're not my favorite thing. But gay community, BDSM, it's huge. Hell, producer John probably has his nipples pierced. I've never seen his boobs. I don't know.
The interesting thing about nipple piercings is kind of that although like it's been around for so long, it's never really been super popular at one time.
Oh, really?
Like if you think about belly button rings, that like swipe, like everybody had one. But nipple piercings, it's like popular and then not, and then popular and then not, and then popular, like never ultra popular. You know
Well,
what I
maybe
mean?
that's because nipple rings weren't made famous by one awesome celebrity like belly button rings were.
Right. Well, that's exactly it. So there was an interview done with like a very famous piercer, and there's been a huge rise in nipple piercings, especially amongst women lately. And he was, and so people are like, why? Why do you think? And he goes, one simple word: celebrities.
Oh, I
So
thought
like
you were going to
Kylie
say,
Jenner has her nipple pierced, Lenny Kravitz with his nipple pierced, Adam Levine with his nipple pierced. Like,
yeah.
you know,
When you said there was only one word, I thought that word was going to be Madonna. She seemed like a grungy nipple piercing type.
did you see recently she took someone else's body and put her head on it to produce her promote her album? And some young chick's like, that's my body.
Oh my God, no, I didn't. As if she wouldn't get permission. She would
Or
know
as if just
better.
use your own body, Madonna. There's nothing wrong with aging.
Well, she shows enough of it on Instagram. Yeah.
But is it really even her body anymore that we're seeing on Instagram? Or does she have a bunch of body doubles in there?
Who
She
knows?
just goes like this and they cut her head out.
Yeah, because that's frozen at this
Right.
point. Well,
There you go. There you have it. The history of nipple piercings.
and then that was it. Wow, that was pretty quick. So, I mean, I guess what do you say about them other than all that?
Well, does it change your mind about them at all?
You
Or
know,
are you
this whole
still kind of not a
time,
fan?
well, it's the men. I don't know why. And maybe it's because I've never really had sex with a guy that had them. So maybe I should knock it till I try it. But when this whole story, I was picturing women's breasts. Like ever since you talked about the beaded dress with the framing, I've been picturing a nice pair of big boobs, women's boobs that are pierced. And they do look nice in my mind.
Well, especially if they're adorned with like chains of pearl and like rouge to be all pretty colored. And
Oh, I'm sure there's ropes of pearl.
one
on
night I'm gonna get drunk now on wine, and I'm gonna start putting blush on my nipples to see what it looks like.
Yeah. Or couldn't you probably could just pinch them. Like if you go way back, isn't that what women just used to do?
Ow!
Pinch your cheeks.
No, I'll mush up some strawberries or something.
Oh, that's hot. Video that for our TikTok.
That's the wrong website there, Jesse.
Yeah,
That
OnlyFans.
was
That is a great idea for anybody that is on OnlyFans. Rub some strawberries on your nipples and then eat them on camera.
I thought you were going to be like, for anyone in a relationship out there, go mush some strawberries together and put them on your nipples and have someone lick it off.
Well, that might be fun too. But don't put those strawberries on your vagina. Very bad.
Yes, Jesse always knows no sugar in the vagina.
So I'm learning lots from this stupid show.
If you do want us to cover the history of something, please let us know. Email us, Jesse and Jenna's messy podcast at gmail.com. DM us, whatever it may be. We will tackle it.
Yeah.
Unless it's like the history of
Pedophilia.
I don't know, or but like something way beyond our comprehension level.
No,
we're not doing like astrophysics or anything here, folks.
Oh yeah, no, I see what you're saying. No, yeah. We'll get an expert back for that.
Right.
All right.
Did I ever say that your eyebrows look really good today?
Oh, thank you. I'm channeling Eugene Levy.
Are you sure, Liberace?
Yeah, with all these rainbows around me and a white shirt.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers.